Well, hello everyone and welcome to today's video. So I have actually just arrived, having done my traditional 6 or in fact this time 7 hours due to diversions drive up to RB Marine in Scotland. It's currently the beginning of March 2025 and I'm up here for just a few days to do some maintenance jobs. Now I have been up earlier this year. You might have seen the live streams on the channel if you were lucky enough to be around when I was doing those, or if you've seen them afterwards, but that was mainly just to come up and check on a few things rather than do anything particularly significant. This time though I have a fairly hefty list of jobs, and as I say, only a few days to do it, so I'm actually I've donned my work clothes despite the fact it's about 8 o'clock in the evening, and I'm actually going to crack on with some engine work for the next hour or two before I call it a day. Now, a quick update on Hat-Trick's condition and how she's fared the winter on the hard. She's done okay. Arriving this time, she was a little bit foosty, a little bit sort of musty inside, but that's kind of to be expected. It's been incredibly wet and miserable winter, and I haven't been up here for well, getting on to 6 weeks now, so a little bit damp and foosty is not that unexpected. The only sort of significant thing that's happened is the bilge pump has actually burnt itself out. The seal has gone on it and it's sort of let water into the motor. I don't know if it burnt out first and then did that, or if it did that and then burnt out. But that's kind of annoying because that was a brand new, particularly expensive pump last year. So it's lasted less than a year, I think, maybe just over a year. But I'm certainly going to be chasing down the warranty on that and see if I can get a replacement. Yeah, because it's pretty disappointing. I mean, it's a bilge pump designed to be underwater, and the fact that it's failed because it's been in water, I know, not very happy. So, but it didn't really cause too many issues. The sort of front bilges that are always kind of full were full, obviously, because they hadn't been being pumped out. So I've emptied those, but beyond that, actually, to be fair, there wasn't that much water in here, and now I've got the hatch open, airing it out a little bit. The foosty smell's gone too. So that's enough about the updates on how Hat-Trick survived the winter. This episode is all about the engine. So as you can see, here is Mr. Penta, still where I left him at the end of the year. And this evening, as I say, I've got an hour or two of motivation left in me. I'm basically just going to go around, I'm going to swap out all the filters for new ones, and I'm going to change the oil. I've also got the pencil anode, so I'll replace that at the same time. I'm not actually going to replace the alternator belt. It's in really good condition and I have a couple of spares for it, so if it were to go this season, that wouldn't be a big deal. So I just didn't really feel like replacing it because it's in pretty much brand new condition still. Typically before you do the oil change, you'd want to run the engine, or at least I would generally run the engine to warm it up and free the oil up a little bit. I'm not actually going to run the engine on this trip. The reason for that is that when I left it before winter, I filled or drained and flushed the block, and then I filled it with antifreeze. So right now the engine block is got antifreeze in it. If I were to run it, it would blow all that antifreeze out the back, which obviously antifreeze isn't great for the environment, so I don't really want to do that. I need to properly drain and flush and clean out the engine block before I let anything escape into the environment. There's still a couple of months before we're planning on launching, so if I were to drain it now, I'd either have to go through the process of refilling it, which is a bit of an involved process, or I'd leave it empty, which obviously means that it's going to sit for a couple of months, potentially corroding, things like that. We're through the worst of the winter in terms of the chance of it freezing, but to be honest, the main reason that I filled with antifreeze, as much as it was to stop the freezing over winter, was actually to help reduce any chance of corrosion, because antifreeze has sort of anti-corrosive ingredients. So leaving it filled with that meant that I was less concerned about the block getting sort of corroded. So I'm just going to change all the oils and stuff out of it. So to get around the cold sticky oil, I've actually got my fan heater just on the oil pan, just to kind of raise the ambient temperature of it, but it's actually quite warm today, so I don't think it'll be too big an issue. So yeah, so right, enough yabbering, let's get some gloves on and let's start getting this stuff swapped over. So I've managed to pump out all the oil, or at least I think I've got most of it out. It's always difficult doing these oil changes on a boat because there's no way to get under the engine to a drain plug like you can on a car. but I reckon I've got a little over 2 litres of oil out of it, which is kind of what I'd expect. Condition wise, the oil is not too bad. It's obviously, it's about a year old, so it's yeah, a bit black and you know, used, but don't see much sign of water or emulsification, which is obviously a really good sign. It's still got a kind of browny, kind of goldeny tinge to it, which, you know, it kind of has when it's fresh. And they're still pretty much what I would expect to be in it, so yeah, I think it's all right. So right, that's the oil out. Next job, let's start pulling the filters and swapping those out. Okay, so I think I got all the filters changed. I've done the oil, the fuel, did the other fuel in the back. I've done the pencil anode, and I've done the impeller and the water pump. So that's kind of the main surface done. Anything left to do is I've got to top up the oil, so I can stick a couple of litres in that. And then she should be ready to go. Like I say, she's not going to be fully done until obviously I can test her and run her up next time I'm up here, but for now this will do. Right, so got myself some nice fresh oil, got myself a jug, so let's get this done. Okay, so that is the engine all done, oiled up and everything. So next job, we need to head down below. Okay, so here we are under the boat, and next job is to swap out the anode on the sail drive. It's worn a bit, not too bad, but I have a new one, so we might as well stick a new one on it. Now this does mean I have to face my nemesis of removing this and all the PTSD flashbacks of trying to do that under the water, but at least you get to see what it looks like, and hopefully I'll do it correct this time, so I won't end up trapped on anchor for a few days panicking over how I'm going to get out of there. Okay, so she's off. Here's the infamous spacer that was what I forgot to put on last time, so I'll make sure we leave that on this time. The prop is not looking the best, if I'm honest. It's kind of corroding away a little bit on the inside, on the splines. You can see the end here is quite corroded, but that's not that big a deal. Looking at it, there's a fair bit of meat left in there. I don't know how well you'll be able to see, probably not at all. And I'm inclined to say I'm going to get one more season out of it. But yeah, it's certainly going to be the last season. I think next year I'm going to have to look at getting a new prop at the end of this year, or maybe even getting one earlier. See, when it sits on, I mean, you can see there's a bit of play in it. The problem is that once it's sat, the way that the bolt goes on means it doesn't kind of tighten it up that way. It just sort of holds it in place. So it's going to have a little bit of back and forth on it. Yeah. Not ideal, to be honest. Don't know. I'll have a look into props and consider whether or not I'm going to swap it this year beforehand, because it is, you know, it isn't great. Problem is that these are so expensive, these props, so I would almost certainly have to go for a more basic kind of fixed prop, because I think these are probably £1,000 now. Whereas I could probably get a fixed prop for 500 maybe. Yeah, which is obviously a bit better. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to put it back together now, just so it's kind of together and I don't need to worry about it. But yeah, never-ending drama with the prop. Good news is the seals look all fine in there. There's nothing kind of untoward happening in there. The shaft is nice and smooth, and it doesn't look like it's particularly damaging the shaft itself. It's all the damage is on the prop. So yeah, not the end of the world, just another one of those things. Right, anyway, let's pop the new thing on and get it back together. Okay, so she's back on, but I'm not really very happy with it, if I'm honest. Like now it's back together, you can see. That's as tight as it goes. I don't think that's good. I mean, I know it's not good, but I don't think that's sort of what we want to be running for another season. So I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and try and find a new prop. Okay, a little bit of soul searching and back and forth, and I think I've reached the conclusion that I need to replace this prop. It is, probably tell, very loose, and it is tightened up right now. I really could have done with not having to replace this. These things are very expensive. Looking around, I can get a sort of fixed sort of 3-blade prop, or 2-blade for that matter, for about the 350 to 400 pounds. If I want a folding prop, the hub is about 600 to 700 pounds, and then the blades are also about 600 to 700 pounds on top of that. So you're in the sort of 14, probably 1500 quid. Probably doesn't come with like the fixing bolts or anything. So yeah, 1500 quid is a lot. I'm not sure, I'm waiting for a call back because I don't know if I could reuse these blades, because there's nothing really wrong with these blades. They're a little bit chipped on the edges maybe, but I mean they're perfectly functional and fine. So obviously I think if I can use these blades, I probably will buy a new hub. So they say that'd be about 700 pounds. If I can't use these blades, I think I'm just gonna have to go for a fixed one. I can't come up with like 1500 quid right now, just to replace this on top of everything else I'm having to pay for right now. So yeah, a bit annoying, but chat with Joe about it, and you know, if I don't do it, I'm going to spend the entire season worrying about it. So I already have enough to worry about when I'm on the boat. So and I think, you know, I don't think I need to wait for your guys' comments to tell me whether or not that's good or not. So anyway, right, I'm going to take it back off so I can take it home with me. This time I'm not going to lose any bits like I did last time, and we can, yeah, at least I've got it at home so I can figure it out once the propeller expert calls me back. So right, let's strip it back down. There it is. Take it home. Hopefully get a new one that'll fit, and then when I'm back up in a couple of weeks we can get it fitted. So I've rushed my way back to Wales. I've got the propeller here with me, and after a bit of sort of searching / talking to people, it became pretty obvious that yeah, I'm going to need a new propeller. Unfortunately they are incredibly expensive, but I have been chatting with a guy called Joey down at FYB Marine, and we've kind of come up with a new propeller, and I've scraped together some shekels and we have it. So here it is. So let's unbox it and see what we got. So here she is. That's what £500 worth of propeller looks like. Actually, technically, I think this was 380 and this was about 100. So I've gone for a 2-blade fixed one. It's either 17 by 1 or 15 by 1. I can't remember. It's got what I'm assuming is the size stamped into it, but then they've powder coated over it, which has made it so you can't actually read any of the serial numbers. So that's very reassuring as to the quality of it. It's got this kind of like rubberized splines, which it's got like a stainless steel ring on that side, which I guess marries up to that. But yeah, I don't know what this is made of. It feels like ceramic, or sort of like a rubberized ceramic. Whatever it is, I don't get the impression that's going to actually last that long. It would have been nice if it was, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing that obviously gives some shock absorption or some vibration absorption, but I also guess it's going to like wear through them in relatively short order. But hopefully they get at least a few years out of it. Why I went from a folding prop to this is just purely price. Like I say, this was 500. An equivalent sort of folding prop was 1,500 sort of plus. It was 3 times the cost, and I didn't have the money to pay for this, so I shouldn't have spent the money on this. But obviously, I don't really have much of a choice. But I couldn't afford to get a folding one, unfortunately. So, but I have a feeling that because this one is obviously been rattling around on there, and the blades are a bit loose, I hope this is going to be a lot smoother and more efficient. I hope that I haven't just kind of had to spend 500 quid to meet minimum requirements. The guy on the FYB reckons it should get me 7 knots out of the engine. I'll wait to be corrected on that. I'd be surprised, but there was a bit of sort of vibration, which I don't know if that was a propeller, but stands to reason that the little bit of sort of vibration I was getting through it might have actually been from that. So we might get a smoother run, and we might get a bit more power out of it. Right, so I guess all that is left to do now is jump back in the van, head 6 hours north, and see if we can attach this. Okay, right, so I have spoken to the guy at the place I got the propeller from. He's given me some instructions. I've got the actual instructions that come with the propeller. Hopefully I won't screw it up this time. I won't end up stuck on anchor a few days fretting about fixing it. So, order of attachment is first and most importantly, well, I guess not most importantly, but given my experience last year, this is the spacer that caused us all the issues before. So that goes on first, so we don't forget it. Next, I need to put a bit of grease on these spines. Right, next job, fit the propeller. So that should, in theory, just slide on. Just like that, and it feels quite snug. Doesn't feel like as much, if any, play in that, so that's good. Observe the gap. Apparently that's supposed to be there. He did pre-warn me about that. Right, now, next job is fancy cone bolt thing. Now, there's actually in here a nut. So, now according to the guy, I don't need to ream this up, just give it a little teacup and it should be tight enough. I don't have my torque wrench with me, stupidly, but yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'll just give it a quick tweak. Okay, next is the important bit. So there's a bolt that goes through the center, but also there is this little locking tab, which basically goes in there and locks the bolt, in theory anyway. So I'm going to make sure I put this in the right way, so I'm going to check the instructions and then we'll get that fitted. that looks pretty much fitted. Feels fine. Felt fine the last time though, to be fair. I'm bending those tabs down as flat as I can get them. Annoyingly, it's kind of pushing against this because this 80-pound cone is made of plastic, of course, which means it's got a bit chewed when I pressed against it, but I don't think it's going to cause any issues. But yeah, hopefully this will work a lot better than our last one. We've got one more job to do on the engine for this video, and that is I've got to replace the stop cable, which broke last season, and replace the bit of string that we were using to stop the engine with proper new stop cable. So let's go and deal with that pleasure. For those of you not aware, the stop cable is this thing here, and when you pull this, it goes via a cable to the engine, to the stop lever, pulls the stop lever, stops the engine. Pretty simple stuff. Unfortunately, it kind of snapped last year at some point. It's always been a bit dodgy, and it gave up the ghost at some point. So I, in about 3/4 of the way through the season last year, swapped it out for this piece of string, which goes forward and is attached to the stop cable as well. And when I pull on it, pulls the stop lever, stops the engine. Kind of does the job, but it's a bit awkward and annoying. So we're going to replace it now. I've got this new one. It's a pretty basic affair. It's supposed to be stainless steel, however I suspect that, well, certainly not all of it is stainless steel, and I suspect not much of it is stainless steel, so I'm not convinced it's going to last that long, but it was cheap. So it'll do for a season or two, I'm sure. Right, so the existing old cable is still in here, so what I need to do is basically remove that, pull it through with a line that I can then use to pull this one back through, hopefully easily, connect it up, job done. Hopefully it'll be a pretty simple one. Right, let's get the hatches opened so we can reach it all, and let's get to work. Well, it was a bit awkward. I had to take the panel out the front, which to be fair I kind of expected to because it has to get bolted from the other side, but I think we might have identified the issue. Generally with these kind of things there's meant to be a cable attached to the end of that, but there isn't, so maybe it doesn't work, but that's kind of what I expected. So what I'm going to do now, is attach a line to the other end, pull it through from this end, hopefully that'll come through in one go, and I can pull that line back through with the new cable attached, and hopefully that'll work. Okay, so that's a new stop cable in. It's not the best. You can see why it's cheap, but it works, which the old one didn't. So it'll do for now at least. I'm actually not going to refit the panel just yet, because basically when I put it in last time I siliconed it in, which made it pretty hard to get out, and I'd already put it in when I did all the painting, so this little cubby is still the terrible oval yellowing kind of fiberglassy colour. So I think while I've got it all out, what I'm going to do is clean off all this silicone, clean it up, paint the interior because I've still got a bit of the deck paint left, and then I'm going to use I've got some of the butyl tape which I use for the seal for the windows, and I'm going to use that to seal it because that's sort of, you know, it's good sealing stuff, but it doesn't set like silicone does, so it doesn't essentially glue it in. So I'll do it off camera because that's not going to be very interesting, but yeah, we're about there, I think. That's all the sort of jobs for the engine ticked off. Obviously added in the additional propeller, which I wasn't expecting, but she's looking all right. Obviously proof will be in the pudding when I try and start her, but I'll be doing that on the next trip up when I sort of do the final preparations of getting the boat ready to go in the water. Hopefully I'll be up a couple of weeks before that's going to happen, so if anything does terrible happen I might have a chance to fix it, but we all know how that's gone in the past on our sailing adventure, so we'll have to see. But yeah, thanks so much for stopping by, guys. Hope very much you've enjoyed this episode. Hope you're going to stop by for the next one, but take care of yourselves and we'll see you next time.